Okay, we are live now.
All right.
And we're live. Thank you everyone for joining us in Sitecore User Group Ecuador session 14. My name is Daniel Pastor. I know it has been a while, but we're back on 2021. And today we have a very special guest with a super cool topic in the world of Sitecore. But I'm not going to spoil that for you. I'm going to leave that to Richard. So why don't you take us away, Richard?
You're on mute, Richard.
Sorry about that. Well, hello everyone. My name is Richard Leva, and I'm the organizer of this Sitecore User Group. Today we have a very special guest. I'm sure all of you know him. His name is Akshay Sura, and he will be talking about Sitecore Experience Edge. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat, and we will be answering those at the end of the session. Akshay, the stage is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So hey guys, my name is Akshay Sura. Been doing Sitecore for about 14 years now. So if you guys need any help or any guidance in the Sitecore community space, don't be afraid to ask. Here's my contact info if you need to get in touch with me. Today we'll be talking about Sitecore Experience Edge and delivering content at scale. First, what's Sitecore Experience Edge? So it's a SaaS-based delivery layer which sits on top of either your experience management or your content hub, and it delivers content to the edge over the CDN and provides a GraphQL endpoint for you to query the data you have and use it in any channel you wish to. When I say any channel, basically anything which can make web calls and make API calls, you can consume it. So if you have a Raspberry Pi, or if you have a POS system, anything which can make calls out can consume this content. So you could write a program to do that. The edge is on, I think, Cloudflare, from what I know. It's pushed out globally, takes quite a bit of requests. It's pretty solid. The Content Hub version of the Sitecore Experience Edge was released early February 9th. The experience management part of it is going to be released soon. There's several advantages of Sitecore Experience Edge, just the fact that you don't have to worry about scaling your delivery network. So by default, this gets pushed out globally. You get access to the content very close to where your endpoint is. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. You don't have to worry about scaling or performance. You're able to utilize this content and integrate it with any platform. So it just makes absolute sense. In my mind, like as I mentioned, this is a graphical representation for people who need pictures. So you have content coming from Content Hub or Experience Management getting pushed over to the Experience Edge, where you can query it via a GraphQL endpoint. Again, this is pushed all over the CDN and the Edge network so that it's easier for you to get the info and it's super performant. I would like to talk about just the Content Hub part of it. The expense management portion hasn't been released, and frankly, Content Hub is one of my favorite products of Sitecore. There are two different APIs you deal with. One of them is the delivery API with all the content which is in the final state. So for instance, your published state and the content is ready for it to be consumed from, by your consumer. Preview API has everything else. So published and unpublished content, work and flow. So you can use the preview API to test your website, test your channels, test your content. see if it's perfect. If it is, then you push it to the final workflow state or publish state and bring it to the delivery network. We've been talking about GraphQL, and it's kind of interesting because whether you've used GraphQL or not in the past, it gets very easy the more you use GraphQL. And as I mentioned, it provides two GraphQL endpoints, one for delivery and one for preview. For people who are not familiar with Content Hub, Content Hub comes with four products. One is a DAM, you have an MRM for management, you have a PCM for products, and you have a CMP to store structured content of different types like blogs, news items, and so on and so forth. In our demos today, we'll be predominantly looking at the products just because there's enough sample data and it's a lot more flexible and you could do a bunch more things. So as you can see from the previous version of Content Hub to now, you see these new green cloud buttons, which kind of show you that this piece of content has been pushed to Sitecore Experience Edge, whereas these haven't. And it'll say, it'll stay in that state until it gets to a certain condition. For each content type, you are able to specify A, if it can or cannot go into the Experience Edge, and B, what conditions you need to satisfy in order to get there. So let me go in here real quick. And so if I go into, actually, let me go back real quick. So here, as you can see, here for the entity definition, some are set to push to the delivery platform, some aren't by default. So you would need to specify, you can go in there, take a look to see if a specific content type or an entity is set to be pushed to the delivery network. And once you, oh man, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons today. Once you get into a specific entity, you can specify, one, if you want to deliver this to the delivery platform or not, and two, what conditions do they need to satisfy to get there. So for instance, you could specify this needs to be in certain workflow. This is one case, and then you could also specify if you wanted to schedule a delivery. So if I open the PCM product, oh, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons today, sorry. If I go into product, you can see that this has been set up so that the workflow state has to be approved, and that's why there were some products which were pushed to the delivery and some weren't. You could also have the scheduled delivery. So if your entity has a date field, you could use that as a scheduled published delivery date as well. So it's kind of like a neat feature for you to do that. And once your products are pushed, you have certain products which are available in the delivery API, and the rest of them are available in the preview. So you get access to two endpoints. So this is the preview endpoint, which is currently pulling all the products. So you'll see quite a big list of it here. Whereas if I go to the delivery endpoint and pull it, I only have 4 is all I have, which makes sense depending on what we have. You do have to pass in some parameters to get your tokens. So that's something you can do. GraphQL by itself, even if you haven't used it in the past, it actually is super, super simple to use. GraphQL by default is self-documenting. So it documents itself as you build the API for whichever entity you're choosing to. So in this case, I didn't have to be a rocket science to figure out, okay, I want all the products. It's of type collection just because it's telling me it is. The results are of type product. So if you notice, that's the collection. These are the results of the collection. Each one is a product. Inside of the product, I'm pulling the ID, I'm pulling the product name, long description, short description. And then I want to get the assets for the product. So I want to get the images, for instance. So I'm going into the PCM product to assets, and just by looking at it, I know that it's a collection. I go inside the collection. Each thing has an asset. So if you notice all the way here, I'm at the asset level. I'm trying to get the ID and a couple other parameters. So by default, you don't really have to know much about, your even the structure of your entity. If you add anything custom or a custom type, that gets pushed as well. So the schema gets pushed, so you can query your custom items as well. One of the best things about this is that not only did Sitecore expose anything to do with the CMP content, but they've also exposed everything to do with PCM, which is an amazing power to have. You by default you have DAM anyways with the public links for all the assets, so it works out perfectly. So that's GraphQL. Uh, Now, which option would I choose and why? I don't think it's any mystery what I would choose. I would definitely go with Content Hub. The reason why I would do that is it's omni-channel. So we are no longer bound to a realm of just web. Companies are looking beyond that. You're looking, at the least nowadays, companies have content on one of their sites. Maybe they want to reuse it on a couple of their other websites. They have a mobile app. They might want to syndicate their content with some of their partners or people they collaborate with, the companies that they do business with. So when you're looking at content from an omni-channel perspective, you no longer can look at it from a web CMS, a WCMS perspective. And that's one of the biggest points of you trying to get into a content hub scenario where you're generating content from both ideation all the way through production, omni-channel based content, and sharing it with any tool you have. As mentioned before, the Sitecore Experience Edge gets pushed over the delivery network. We personally at Conobos, we're all Microsoft Stack. We have a couple of guys who we recently hired from Argentina who are superstars at Next.js. We're trying to get into that, and it's really awesome. So we chose Next.js with Vercel. Vercel is pretty awesome with their edge network, and just the deployments are amazing. So I would build it this way, where I would use Content Hub. I would use both CMP and PCM, get pushed over, have it built on Next.js and Vercel, and just consume it elsewhere, like a mobile app or website, or just share it with other integrations. Now, why would we do that? Part of it, which I already communicated that. So nothing on this slide is written by me. It's all pulled from material Sitecore has provided. I've listed omnichannel twice. If I had my way, I would list it 15 times if I choose to. But that is the key goal, right? You're producing omni-channel content. Content Hub is amazing at producing content. If you set up the workflow and everything the right way, from ideation all the way to content production, it's a really powerful tool, and you should use it if you have the means to do that. Just by going into this omni-channel content delivery realm, you have freedom of choice to use any programming language. You want to use .NET Core, you can absolutely do that. You want to use Next.js, absolutely do that. You want to use Angular, it's up to you. So it just opens up your prospects completely. You can build Jamstack websites. You have freedom to pretty much do anything you choose to. You don't have to, in this new Jamstack realm, having websites running, being able to deliver them at scale is just like pure gold, and it's super cheap to do that, and it's very economical for the customer. They can use all the money they spend on all the heavy lifting things on their marketing efforts. So it just makes it easy. In the omnichannel realm, you can also do a lot of cool content modeling and creation. You could extract any channel specific definition of a content. So for instance, if you have a blog, you can't look at blog anymore from a delivering it to the website perspective. So you have to separate out the web specific channel fields into a different entity as opposed to the actual blog. So it kind of gets really interesting. We talked quite a bit about omnichannel is, being able to produce content which is produced once but used many, many times. And I think Experience Edge with Content Hub is the best way to do headless. Now, what we thought was a lot of the people always, for these demos, talk about, hey, look at this emulator for the mobile app, look at this demo. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to challenge ourselves, so we took on the idea of a very simple mobile app. It has about 4 to 5 screens, which can show delivery content, preview content, and you can open up an actual product to see what the details are and to play around with it. So we built it in 4 days, pushed it to both Google and Apple iOS. Obviously, the iOS app was rejected recently. The reasoning was that it didn't have enough of functionality, which is true. But the Android app was approved, so there is a QR code at the bottom over there. So if you want to download it, absolutely do so. What I did want to show you is a couple of demos. So let's start off with a few demos. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, we have our PCM, product content management, with a bunch of products. We recently pushed out a couple of updates to the Next.js starter kit for Content Hub to use content as a service. The demo site link is right there. It's public. You can hit it as much as you like. It's hosted on Vercel. It talks about, other than the config, pretty much everything is there, what I'm going to be showing you today. So you are absolutely free to play around with it, test it. We try to give you a good base for you to get started so that, you don't have to start from scratch, right? So here goes the demo. So we are on a products page at this moment. So on the products page, just off the bat, I see 5 products. Do I see 5 clouds? I should be able to see 5 green clouds, which is perfect. Let me get my mobile up and running. So see if I can present it. Hopefully no embarrassing notifications come through while I do that. All right, get this up. All right, so that's my mobile app, and it is my mobile device. So I open it up. I'm on iOS right now. As you can see, I get 5 products as well. So when I'm in the delivery mode, I get 5 products. If I enter preview, I keep using my mouse, but it's my phone. If I use preview, as you can see, I see a lot more products, right? So just to kind of show you that it is responsive in the sense that it's not smoke and mirrors, it's actual content being pushed here and there. What I would like to do is I'm going to pick a product. Let's pick one. Which one should we pick? Let me go into preview mode real quick. You can pick the coconut one. So let's go in here. And as we know, just because of the gray icon over there, that we don't, I hate this view, right? That it wasn't pushed to the edge, right? So this was a demo I did. So I will do it in a different way. This is, what day is it? Tuesday, right? So obviously I didn't type this before, and then live demo on mobile. So what I'm trying to show you here is we have a piece of content which should only be in the preview mode at this moment in time. We have quite a few other fields in the product, but we are trying to play with 2 fields. One is a short description field, which is predominantly just plain content. And I'll tell you why. On a mobile device, pure rich text is a pain in the behind to display. If you had your content as JSON LD format, it would be a lot more easier. So what we did is we chose to use the short description for the mobile and long description, which is a rich text field for the web, because it's just simply easier. So I just saved my piece of content. Hopefully it made it into the endpoint. So what I'm going to be doing is, let me refresh this page first. And as you can see, this is Tuesday. We are on the web, comes up. Let me unlock my device, go into preview mode, and then open up the Coconut. Oh, where's the thing? Here. Did I lose it? Sorry, let me open up my screen mirroring is really annoying. Oop, doesn't want to come up. Oh, there you go. All right. So where's this guy? Come back in here again. So I was on delivery, I'll go into preview, and if I go into helpful chips, as you can see, it shows the short description field. So things do update really fast. I haven't seen a performance issue, and the worst part about this is that I'm actually on a dev instance. So if I have to experience performance, it should be on a dev instance, but it works really well. It's super fast. So as you use it more, it gets a lot easier. So for instance, I'm going to get out of this and I have to go back into the products page. As we have 5 at this moment, so I don't know, let's pick another one. Which one should we pick? This one. So let me go back into the powerful chocolate box, and the main way we can get this to publish to the endpoint is if I have it in the approved state. That's what we saw. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, come back here. You'll see a blue box saying that it's, blue cloud saying that it's being synced at this moment in time. Let's just make sure that we have, and we should be on delivery, right? Let's wait for this guy. Takes about 10 seconds or so. Come on. We are not in preview mode, right? Yeah. All right, there you go. So if I refresh, I should get my 6th product, which I do right there. And if I go back to my mobile device, go back to delivery, I should get my 6th product, which I do right there, the powerful chocolate. So it's actually pretty responsive. It works really well. It's super quick. So I can't really fault it for what it's doing. It's really, really good. So again, if you want to play with the mobile app, use the QR code and you're more than welcome to play around with it, test it as much as you like. I have no problems. You're not going to break anything. Going to the next part. So personalization in Jamstack, this is a question we get asked quite a bit. So like, as you guys might know, we've been doing Jamstack quite a bit in the last year or so. We've used quite a few other platforms. We got a lot of work done. One of the primary questions we have from the marketing department is, can you personalize on Jamstack? And I think that's kind of a shame that we get asked that question, because in all honesty, the answer should always be yes, and it is yes, but it's sad that the message isn't out there. And there's a lot of people who help propagate that horrible message that you cannot personalize on Jamstack. But anyways, you can personalize on Jamstack. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the Boxever acquisition from Sitecore recently. You must have heard. We were on a call with Dave, who's right now the chief product officer of Sitecore, but was the former CEO and co-founder of Boxever. Based on what we saw and part of the training course I did, just a few slides of it, it looks really amazing to me. Like the prospects of having Boxever in the Jamstack space, using it along with the Content Hub and the Experience Edge just opens up a whole lot of possibilities. Based on what he'd mentioned, Boxever was architected for the cloud, performance at scale. It was just amazing, the numbers he was talking about in terms of how much data they process. He was talking about the customer data platform where you can aggregate data from mobile, from website, from any other systems, and build a unified customer profile. and be able to use it to segment customers, to have customer analytics, and be able to provide a unique and a perfect present a personalized experience to the customer. And all of these are buzzwords, and they're perfect. I haven't played with the system, although I have gone through part of the training course, as I mentioned, and it looks really nice. So I'm hoping to get my hands on it. But what I would like to talk about is Uniform. Not sure how many of you know Uniform. Was built by a couple of the guys who are super smart, who used to be at Sitecore. It's an amazing platform. They do have integration into Sitecore from an experience management perspective, but the one I'm going to be talking about is purely based on Jamstack. So if you were to operate with Content Hub, with Sitecore Experience Edge, or any other headless platforms, you can use Uniform to personalize, and it's super simple. It's, again, extremely fast. And let me see if I can spin stuff up. Again, we go back to our demo, to my favorite part. So I'm going to go in here, and so let me get into Uniform on the left. Again, I don't know how many of you know the interface well, but essentially I logged in. I have one site called Content Hub Demo. Inside of it, I have some personalization stuff set up. Each one is, so right now I have four intents set up. Each one corresponds to a product family in product content management and Content Hub. So Fruitful Lemonade, Healthful Chips, Powerful Granola, and Powerful Snack Bars. And as you can see on the right, the same exact demo site. So the code, everything is in here except your endpoint. By default, we are seeing that I'm being shown a Powerful Snack Bars product category. So when I look at this nifty tool for uniform personalization, I can see that it already knows I have four intents. Each of them have one signal except Fruitful Lemonade, which has two signals. So in the if you were to step out of the Sitecore personalization world and you look at Optimizely or other tools like Google Optimize, you talk about intents, you talk about signals. So this is very common lingo. In Fruitful Lemonade, we are saying one of the signal is based on their behavior. So if they go to a page, which we're capturing a signal which signifies a Fruitful Lemonade, for instance, and one is based on a URL string. So imagine if you have campaigns to do with, Google tag management, like Google paid ad campaigns, for instance, or any other campaign you're running, you have a URL string coming back to the site. You could act on those as, and personalize their journey if you choose to. So right now, all it's telling me is, hey, I know you have these, but right now I have no clue what this guy wants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Powerful Granola. I visited one of the categories, which is specific to Powerful Granola. When I look back, now it says, okay, now I know you have some interest in Powerful Granola. So if I go back to the home page, it's going to show me, hey, I know that you have Powerful Granola and that's what you liked. So I'm going to display that. So let me go into Healthful Chips. And then when you look at it here, it can see that, I have interest in both of them. So it kind of knows that. For instance, if we were to trigger the campaign for Fruitful Lemonade, for instance, you can see that the signal weight for this was set to strongest, not normal. So it's 100% strength. So as you can see, now it knows, oh, wait, this guy likes Fruitful Lemonade more than he likes anything else. So in this case, on the home page, I get shown Fruitful Lemonade. Again, it's super fast. It's super quick. It does its job right. And it's very, very simple to add this functionality. So let me just show you the code real quick. And again, this is from that project. There's no smoke and mirrors anywhere. So as you can see here, I use the uniform library. In here, I'm saying I want to show a personalized version of the product category, and I use a component called product category in here. I'm using the category uniform tells me I need to use to show a personalized category, and I do not want to track behavior. These are custom attributes for my own component. They do not come from uniform. So in here, essentially all I'm doing is if they want me to track behavior, I track behavior. If they don't want me to track behavior, I don't track behavior. I just display. So on any other page, so these pages, which this are category pages, I'm simply saying track the behavior, show the current categories, products. And on the index page, we're basically saying show the product uniform is telling me to, but don't track the behavior. So we are able to capture the behavior on product listing pages, but on the home page, we're showing the behavior. And again, it's super simple. We released a few blog posts as well as a couple of videos on how to do this, how to set up uniform and use it appropriately. So again, this is just scratching the surface. You could do so many more things inside of it. There's different types of signals based on what you can do. There's a paid version which has more signals. There's a lot more coming from this team. These guys are super sharp. And I can only imagine all the cool things they're going to come up with. So try it out. If you have any questions, more than happy to help you out. I have, let me go back here. If you need access to the repository, again, it's public. The code is all out there, nothing hidden. All you need is a Content Hub instance, which is the brand new version with Sitecore Experience Edge. There's instructions for you to replace the keys, and instantly you will have a website running. So absolutely use it. Use this QR code to go into the actual GitHub repo. We have a couple of webinars coming up. So this one's coming up, I think, tomorrow. And then this one, which is also very interesting, talks about SEO and Sitecore, which you can use as well. And all the QR codes are posted there. Again, my name is Akshay Sura. I could do a lot more with it, but it's getting into code and doing a whole bunch of things. But I hope this has given you enough interest that you can go poke around in the repository and do a bunch of things to help you get into it. So if you have any questions, just post them in the chats as Richard and Daniel mentioned, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
We don't have any questions yet, but I do have one. So you were talking about Content Hub and Next.js, GraphQL, a lot of things, right? So what was the biggest challenge you faced when you were working on this?
Oh man, everyone asks that question. Setting up, so the setting up the expense edge part was easy. I think trying to come up with a plan of what the demo should be like. So the GraphQL endpoint, pulling the data, all of that is super easy. Again, whether you pick Next, whether you pick .NET Core, it's totally up to your preference. We are all .NET developers, but I have tried to learn Next as much as I can, and it's actually interesting the things you could do with Next you can't do with a .NET Core app. But yeah, it's I think learning Next was a nice learning curve. Having like the support of the team who already knew Next makes a huge difference. I think the challenge, there was nothing really as challenging as learning the Next.js, to be honest. If you were to do it in the .NET Core, you would probably have it up and running in less than 20 minutes. Just access the GraphQL endpoint, call the info, and start writing pages.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I also had another question. In your demo, you showed us how you were consuming content for an app, either in iOS or Android or on the web. I was wondering if at the server level, or I should say at the Sitecore Experience Edge level, is there any way to manage where the which channel should have which content? Like maybe like an asset should only be displayed on the iOS app or on the Android app. Is it possible?
So the answer is no, but you shouldn't do it that way. So The job of the experience edge is to expose content in your GraphQL endpoint. What you should be doing is, for instance, I'm just going to take a very simple example, right? Assume that there's a blog post with a video, and there's another blog post with a really high quality image, for instance, right? What you should probably do is to structure your data in a way that you have, for instance, a mobile video field and a desktop video field. So you can set up the compression of the video the way you want, the dimensions of the video the way you want, maybe a low quality on the mobile, higher quality on the desktop. Same for the images you use. And all of that would then get exposed onto the GraphQL endpoints, and your channels will pick the channel specific field. So for instance, on a mobile app, I would only pick the title, description, and a mobile video and a mobile image for the hero. Whereas on the desktop, you would choose the regular video and the regular image. But channel specific content delivery wouldn't make sense at a experience edge level. Its job is to provide us all the data. The channel's job is to pull channel specific content.
Oh, I see. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That's why I was asking if it was possible on the server level, but yeah, it should probably be done at the, I don't know, on the app level and use that data to actually, have some logic and know how you should display or choose to don't display that information
Yeah.
from the endpoint. Gotcha.
Cool. So it seems like there are no more questions. So thank you actually for presenting. It was a really good session, and we hope to have you in future sessions of the Sitecore User Group Ecuador.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Cool. And thank you everyone for joining. We will keep you posted through social media on upcoming events. Hopefully they will be very soon. So thank you everyone. Bye.
Bye,
Thank
bye
you.
guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.